Breaking news coming out of Tuesday's press conference. Ithaca College and Corsica will be heading to the Bronx for the 2022 Corsica Jug. This is coming off the tail of 2019's Corsica Jug from MetLife Stadium that saw over 45,000 in attendance. With more, here's Kyle DeSantis. Moving from the quarterback positions to the receivers, how do you think Vito and Anderson have found themselves complimenting each other here? Because that's a dynamic duo right there. Yep. We need to go to break soon here, but I need to ask you one more question. How was that fan atmosphere in the second half? Because they really came alive. Haber, a blocked punt for you, and when I look at blocked punts, the first thing I think of is effort. First thing I think of is giving 110%. First thing I think of is imposing your will. Take me through the blocked punt play. Take me through what was going through your head and getting to that punter. Fantastic job for the defense. A fantastic job for you, Quinn. And thank you for coming on. And we'll see you on a little bit in our 4th and Goal debate. But coming up next, right after the break, we have our brand new X's and O's segment. Something you're not going to want to miss. Stick it right here on the Gridiron Report.
Get it to Crowley in space. And this is what I'm talking about when I say utilizing space. Get off me. You can't bring me down. That is the definition of utilizing space right there.
And what I love about that is something that you don't notice. There's the Ithaca sideline popping off, saying, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen in the world. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Hey, I think that segment was so great. I think I'm ready to go out there right now. Hey, tell me, put me out there on the field right now. You look left and right. I'm going to be there ready for you right there, shot. Yeah, I'll be there ready for you.
I love it. I love it.
Be sure to follow us on social media to keep up with the latest info about the show. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at ICTV Sports and on Twitter at ICTV Sports 607. Stay on the edge of your seats because after the break, the iconic 4th and Goal debate, Quentin Pelzel, Owen Donahue, and Brady Lynch join the show and give their thoughts on all things Bomber football. You know, Dylan, I like to do a lot of cooking myself, some chicken and rice, get some beef and mashed potatoes. It's all good, but you have to have the right recipe. That's what's important. You have no salt and pepper with it, that's going to be a big problem, especially when I need some adobo with it as well. What is the recipe for Big Red to get a win over Yale, which would obviously take them not only through the playoffs, but possibly to the ECAC final? Locked and loaded here after a big win for the Bombers this past Saturday, taking down Union. We missed them last week, our Players of the Week, but always an honor to have them on. Our Players of the Week once again. Starting on defense, Ed Long has had himself a day, earning 7 tackles with 1.5 sacks for 10 yards and 2.5 tackles for a loss of 17 yards. The Beast from the East never fails to impress, and also joining us representing special teams. This man hit 4 field goals in a single game, which set a new school record for most field goals in a season and tied a record for most field goals in a game, which stood 55 years, who some may call the king. Nick Bahamonde, and Ed, I just want you to come with me real quick. I just want you to take a look at this man. Wow, look at this person with the hair and the hat, living his best life. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
How you doing, my boy? I just want to ask you, how are you doing?
Because
I've been waiting a long time to have you on specifically. How you feeling?
I'm good. It's a good life, It was rough last week, but this one is a good rebound,
We'll get into your trials and tribulations, and honestly, you couldn't have scripted it any better, but we'll get into it a little bit later. Ed, I want to start with you here, especially after this game against Union. Oh my goodness, you were on a few weeks back and we talked, and you talked about how great this defense was and how great you guys are playing, but I feel like you guys really showed it against Union. We did a lot of the barking, as you say, and you guys love to bark all the time.
Yeah,
you really showed a great amount of bite against Union.
Right, yeah.
Now in the second half, Jonathan Anderson Carey is forced out by Jalen Martinez and is scooped up by the big man, Ashton Hurd, looking like Thor himself running down the sideline, but is pushed out of bounds. Turnovers now in the favor of the Bombers in this one. Here is Nick Bahamonde again, field goal attempt from 28 yards out. Kick is good. Kick so sweet that the picturesque shot in the background could be used to be sold on postcards. Ithaca offense getting the job done once again, this time on the ground. Jake Williams like a bowling ball on the score. Bombers up by 3 scores. The Dutchman's looking for a big play, and no greater big player to do that for you than Andre Ross Jr. hauls in the deep ball from William Bellamy and scores on a 57-yard touchdown. He's been dubbed the Cuban highlight reel for a reason. Union with the ball back with 10 minutes left in the 4th. Bellamy looking for another big play, but the deep ball is picked off by Ithaca's favorite video game character, Derek Sluka. That would be DS's 4th interception of the season. Mr. Nintendo living up to his namesake. Late here in the 4th, early in the game, Ithaca's defense was told to stop barking on defense. Well, forget the bark. Jalen Martinez will just maul your head off. A huge tackle on 4th down. Bombers victorious against the 11th ranked Union Dutchmen. The 18th ranked Cornell taking on St. Lawrence at Liner Rink this past weekend. 2 minutes into the first period, a mosh pit right in front of the crease. Shane is able to defend for the moment and gather himself, but another shot on net and rebound allows for Riley Moran to score. Moran has goals in back-to-back games, but only his fourth on the season. Cornell down a goal and still scoreless midway through the second. Kyle Betts with a beautiful backhand goal. Betts on fire as of late, coming off the back of a 20-plus goalless game drought. Now, in overtime, David Jankowski takes the pass, centers himself, and scores on a shot that just trickled by the freshman goaltender. The senior from Waterdown, Ontario, Canada, gives Cornell their first overtime loss of the season by a final score of 1-2. Moving into Saturday, Cornell facing the Clarkson Golden Knights, and Andrei Pesnitska scores a power play goal, the freshman forward giving the Big Red a hot start midway through the first. Now, moving over into the second. A game still closely contested. Matt Steinberg with a rebound and another power play goal for Cornell. The Big Red scored 2 power play goals in this one, tied for the most this season. Ben Bernard from the blue line, a lamplighter giving Cornell a 3-0 lead. This is the first time Cornell has a 3-0 lead since their win back against Yale in mid-January. In the waning minutes of the second period, Clarkson with a 2-man advantage finds their leading goal scorer in Anthony Romano. The action wouldn't stop there as Cornell's 3-0 lead would shrink to just 1 goal advantage, all done in the final 2 minutes of the second period. No fear, Kyle Betts is here. A 3-game stretch with a goal in each. That one would bring the Big Red to a 4-2 lead. Betts would end the night with 2 goals totaling, along with his teammate Pesnitska, who both scored empty netters to bring the final score to 6-2. This Cornell win snaps the Golden Knights' 11-game winning streak, finally coming to an end last Saturday. Thank you, John. A.J. Wingfield has secured himself as a starter after his game last week and has pretty big shoes to fill as Joe Germinario left his mark not only at Ithaca back in 2019, but Brockport as well, where he helped Brockport capture back-to-back undefeated Empire 8 titles in 2017 and 2018. Now in Germany with the German Football League, he re-signed in April and put up some record-breaking numbers. Germinario set the GFL single-game record for a total offensive yards with 661. That's nothing new for Germinario as he is the Brockport career record holder for completions, passing yards, and passing touchdowns. Wingfield is off to a great start as we saw last week and this week and is looking to put up some records of his own. John? Thank you, Jackson. Both Coach Swanstrom and Coach DeWall are acting offensive coordinators for their respective teams, and both showed a similar pattern, adding some extra flair to their offensive schemes. Swanstrom with a few wildcat formations, pitch and throws, and wild 2-point conversions and end-arounds. Coach DeWall did the same last week, and in an interview with the Hobart Football Podcast, DeWall said, quote, "The back pockets are always full." Coach DeWall also said that more razzle can come with the dazzle as their offense matures. We saw just right there with the Bombers offense, more razzle-dazzle going on as Wingfield goes and scampers in for the score. Jackson, back to you. Thank you, Jackson. Sometimes a certain group gets together and magic happens. I think we're seeing that with the offensive line. And it might not be only on the field. Every week at practice, the offensive line comes up with a skit to show to the rest of the offense in between drills. This week was a play on the ever-popular Netflix series Squid Game by playing red light, green light. Although things have been lighthearted at practice, the O-line is definitely serious. They've improved since the beginning of the season by giving Wingfield plenty of more time in the pocket. And at the focal point in front of Ithaca's ground game, I was able to talk to Anselmo Farrow on ICTV's Gridiron Report, and he said that, quote, "We're a group of really selfless people." Thank you, Jackson. Highly appreciated. And the explosion of cheers on the sideline for this Ithaca team after the fumble recovery. It's something like as if it was building up inside of them throughout this whole entirety of this game. Finally able to erupt and cheer in this third quarter. The Bombers now able to score off of that drive. And a little surprised that they didn't go for it on fourth down there. The Bombers have been absolutely fantastic on fourth down throughout the entirety of the season. 81% of the time they convert on fourth down. And it's something that Swanstrom has been doing throughout the most of this season. You know, he's been splitting his 8s and he's been doubling down on his 11s and honestly going for it on the book, if you will, saying that, you know, I'm really going to bet on the odds of this offense on this fourth down. A little surprising that he hasn't been going for it so often here in this game. Thank you, John. there are plenty of storylines coming into this game, almost too many to choose from, that make the Bombers look like an underdog coming into this one. One of the biggest is Ithaca College hasn't beaten RPI since 2001. We heard it time and time again. The top movie in the box office at that time was Harry Potter's and the Sorcerer's Stone. The #1 song on the Billboard's Top 40 was Mary J. Blige's Family Affair. Needless to say, Ithaca is looking to change that with a win today. Not going to be easy given the Engineers haven't lost a game at home since 2018. RPI is coming off a bye week, but since 2016, the Engineers have lost 3 out of their last 4 games coming out of the bye. Usually the bye week being something that rejuvenates a team, something that may scare the Engineers here on Halloween weekend. John? Jackson, we all know how much I like a good nickname, and Union star wide receiver Andre Ross Jr. has one of his own. He's been dubbed the Human Highlight Reel, an awesome and very fitting name for a guy that makes some big-time plays. Plays so big that he's gotten the attention of some social media sources saying that he might be under the table for being an NFL prospect who has the talent to play on the next level. While he plays for a D3 program that has placed exactly just one player in the NFL, Rich Romer, drafted in the 7th round back in 1988 by the Bengals. Some other receivers in D3 have outproduced him statistically this season, but Ross has been that type of player who regularly comes through with big plays in the biggest moments, all while playing with an offense that really is a running offense that we've seen most of the day through Iowa. So big plays there by Andre Ross Jr., and there's some potential to see him at an NFL camp at some point. Guys? So you look at Andrew Vito, and Hayes really had himself a fantastic season and career with the Bombers. Against RPI, he broke Will Gladney's record for most career receptions as a Bomber, and now is competing in his final Cortica Jug in his grad year. Vito has made himself known in Cortica Jug games, including arguably the most important game in Ithaca College football history, as Cortica was brought to MetLife Stadium in 2019. Vito hauled in 12 receptions for 124 yards. In an interview with TV on the Net, Andrew Vito described how he didn't know about the rivalry game until his first day at practice, his first year, where he then was wearing red gloves. He shed those colors pretty quickly, if I do say so myself, and Vito has now become one of the premier receivers in program history. Jayden Becker here with head coach Dan Raymond. Coach, going back to the Liberty League Championships. What a great feeling it is. And Coach, where is this team's mindset now heading into tomorrow's game? Coach, championships are for champions, and you, sir, are a champion. How does it feel to be back on top of the Liberty League? Coach, a big game tomorrow for the Bombers against Vassar. It might determine some stuff for the Liberty League moving forward, hosting, not hosting, where you're going to play, home or away. Is that running through your mind at the moment?
Oh, no, not at all. Absolutely it is. You know,
Coach, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. What do you love most about coaching this team? Coach, do you believe any team can stop Ithaca at this moment?
the only team that can stop Ithaca is Ithaca.
Thank you, Coach. Guys, back to you in the booth. Coach, thank you. Highly appreciate. Thank you for coming on to the show. Obviously, have a big matchup coming up this Saturday against Rochester. It should be a fun time. Maybe get some garbage plates after, and if everything goes well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jackson. And we are in what some may call garbage time. And just because it is garbage time doesn't mean that things go by the wayside. But I want to talk about something that is important, near and dear to my heart, because today might be an eventful day for myself, because I'm about to try a garbage plate for the first time. And a garbage plate is an example of American extreme cuisine as it's defined. It was born in Rochester, New York at Nick Tahoe's Hots, a landmark restaurant famous for its classic regional specialty being the garbage plate. The earliest version goes all the way back to 1918 when it was called Hots and Potatoes. It was basically a plate piled high with fried potatoes, baked beans, hot dogs, onions, mustards, and chili-like meat sauce. Rochester, of course, being a college town, and as me and Jackson talked prior to the game, there's maybe 7 colleges in a 10-mile radius through here, through Rochester. So obviously going to need some late-night snacks, and why not a garbage plate? So I'm excited. I don't know about you guys, and I think garbage time is a good time to talk about garbage plates. So, guys, back to you. Coach, I have one last thing for you.
Yeah. And
I just want to put a bow on the story here. In Rochester, garbage plates, of course, and This is the shirt here. We made the trip, Nick Tahoe Hots. And hey, I talked to you about garbage plates a lot. I just want to say, in Rochester, we made the journey out there.
How was it?
For the garbage. It was pretty good, I have to say. I was actually pretty impressed. And as a guy from Queens, this is something that I had to try at least once in my life. At least once in my life. So, and someone that travels with the team as well. So, we're having a blast.
So thumbs up?
Thumbs up. Big thumbs up.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm putting anything in my body that's called a garbage plate.